guys, the Super Review Show here for another episode of Why You Should Listen To. This is the show where I break down artists on Spotify that have low Spotify streaming numbers, or depending what time of year it is, they might increase or decrease. This is the show where I break down artists on Spotify that have low or high Spotify streaming numbers, depending what time of the year it is, of course. As the title of this video suggests today, I am talking about probably one of the greatest, if not probably the greatest vocalist, one of them for sure off the top of my head, of all time, Frank Sinatra. This is why you should listen to Frank Sinatra. Now, Frank Sinatra, he's been dead for over 25 years. So he died in May of 1998, and he has been, how to explain this? He was very old when he died. He was in his 80s, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not super familiar with his specifics, but I am a big fan of his music. I do love his music quite a bit. Everything from You Make Me Feel So Young to Fly Me to the Moon to his My Way by Frank Sinatra. Come on. And his ability to sing is incredible. And one of the things that I had this conversation with my grandmother the other day about this. I was talking to my grandmother about Frank Sinatra one day. I went down to her house. I had to see her. And I was saying, hey, she said one of the great things about Frank Sinatra is that you can hear every single word he says in every single one of his songs. That's something today that we don't really have a lot of in a lot of music. Now, not every song has clear vocalists and you can pronounce every word. But if you go back and you listen to every single Frank Sinatra song ever recorded, which, by the way, there was a lot of them, you're going to hear every single word pronounced perfectly and to a T in a singing voice. Frank, man, it's hard to argue against him. When you talk about the greatest singers of all time, a lot of people say Freddie Mercury. That's a yes. A lot of people say Steve Perry from Journey. That's a yes. Some people say Paul McCartney or John Lennon, one of the guys from the Beatles, right? Yes. But when you really break it to Elvis Presley, another one. But when you break it down and you really look at the actual significance of legacy and importance and musical culture of singing as a pure singer, Frank Sinatra has to be put on your Mount Rushmore. I mean, yes, all art is subjective, all music, whatever. I've said that before, I'll say it again. All art is subjective. But you have to acknowledge greatness when you hear it, see it, read it, or interpret it. Frank Sinatra is probably one of the best to ever do it, ever. Now, why am I bringing him up now in December? It's December 22nd, 2023. Why am I bringing him up now? Because, well, here's the deal. Whenever Christmas time comes along, his Spotify streaming numbers boost exponentially because his Christmas songs just get tons and tons and tons of streams on Spotify. So during the holiday season, he brings in a lot of stream. He doesn't, but his estate does, I guess. His family or whatever. Nancy Sinatra probably does as well. His daughter. But Frank actually, his Christmas songs get skyrocketed. The way Michael Bublé's the way Michael Bublé's does during Christmas time, his does too. Still to this day, the guy's been dead for 25 years. And you think, oh, forget him, he's old. No. If you really want to break it down and look at some of the best the best singing you may ever hear on record, Frank Sinatra has to be put in that conversation. Ever. And I just want to bring up an example of this. Spotify no longer has this. If you listen to them on your TV or your phone or whatever, they'll bring up in the past these behind the lyrics. They have the lyrics to the songs and facts about the song you're listening to during the time being. One of the ones I'm going to bring up right now is Strangers in the Night. When I would be listening to Strangers in the Night by Frank Sinatra. And one of the things that the ending is the doobie-doobie-doo. Not bad, right? That doobie-doobie-doo at the end of Strangers in the Night. The creator of Scooby-Doo heard that and he's like, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Thus, indirectly, Frank Sinatra, many of his other accomplishments, he was one of the creators, not indirectly, of course, but one of the creators of Scooby-Doo. That's true. You can look that up. It's actually a real fact that that outro became so iconic for Strangers in the Night. Doobie-doobie-doo, la-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Don't copyright me, YouTube, please. God, don't. I'm just giving an example. Anyways. But Frank Sinatra, the guy, his music will be on air forever and ever and ever. Elvis Presley's will live on forever and ever too. He's in that greatest of all time, that GOAT status category, at least from my opinion. And the people who don't understand that, the people who are a little bit younger than me, that were born like 2000 up, get on it. Because Frank Sinatra, I'm 25 years old. I was born in 1998. So Frank Sinatra, he was dead before I was born. But you have to acknowledge greatness and perfection with singing. If you are a singer out there, you're looking to start a career in the music business, you want to be discovered by A&R representatives in the record industry, study Frank Sinatra's singing. It is incredible. The way that I'm just going to give an example of this. The way he portrayed his vocals, the way he extended his vowels, like doobie doobie doo, or stranger. His style of singing is so iconic and so him. If you want to study a great singer, study Frank Sinatra. So that's some background for you. So why should you listen to Frank Sinatra? Aside from Christmas time, when his Spotify numbers get a super big boost, his monthly listeners and whatnot, why should you listen to Frank Sinatra? Well, it's kind of like I did a video about why you should listen to Elvis Presley. Check that out as well. But think about it like this for a second. He's been dead for 25 years. And his music is still played to this day. During Christmas time, and even on oldie stations. They might play Fly Me to the Moon. They might play My Way. Sirius XM has a station called Seriously Sinatra. So, but why should you listen to Frank Sinatra? Why should you listen to Frank Sinatra? Well, if you're into a style of music that's not just heavy metal, that's not just pop music, that's not just hip hop or rap, if you want to listen to what's called big band music, Frank Sinatra is the king of it, the pillar of it, the pioneer on the hill of it. He is probably the best to ever. I mean, Dean Martin's great, Tony Bennett's great, don't get me wrong, but these are artists that are nowhere near the level that Frank Sinatra was. Frank was a pioneer of an artist, and he never wrote any of his songs. He was a great singer, though. That's what carried the music. That's what carried the song. He was a great crooner. He was a great singer. Again, going back to that. But, so why should you listen to Frank Sinatra? Frank Sinatra, and this might sound like cliche, but it's just the truth. He is one of the best vocalists of all time. I know some people say Steve Perry of Journey. Some people say Freddie Mercury of Queen. Some people might even say Sting from the Police. Some people say Paul McCartney. Some people say Elvis Presley. I mean, you find a hard argument against Elvis Presley, but Frank Sinatra is a hard bet to argue against for one of the best to ever touch a microphone. Ever. One of the best to ever do it. A lot of hard rock and heavy metal musicians like Guns N' Roses and Metallica actually, to my knowledge, look up to him to an extent with their singing. I mean, Axl Rose of Guns N' Roses looks up to Frank Sinatra and Elton John. So people like him. It's crazy. Look that up if you get a chance. Bono from U2, another one. He looks up to Sinatra. They did a collaboration in the early 90s with I've Got You Under My Skin, which is a really good cover that U2 did with Frank Sinatra, actually. So check that out, too. But why should you listen to Frank Sinatra? He's one of the best to ever do it. That's not even an opinion. That's widely regarded as the best. You go up to anyone who's in the age of 40 or 20 year old or 30 year older, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I've heard of Frank Sinatra." You'd be hard pressed to find someone who has not heard of him, because he's that relevant of a name still to this day. So, but I digress. So, for those reasons and more, I think that's why you should listen to Frank Sinatra. Aside from getting a boost during the holiday season to listen to his music, that he's one of the best to ever touch a microphone ever. You're gonna have a hard argument against that. Elvis is one of them, of course. Freddie Mercury is one of them, of course. But honestly, I would say that Frank Sinatra is probably one of the best to ever do it, ever. And forever. Try finding another Frank Sinatra. You're going to have a hard time finding that person. Very hard, because it's hard to live up to that name, Sinatra. So, whatever. I digress. What do you guys think, Liz? Are you a Frank Sinatra fan out there? Have you seen Frank Sinatra back before he died, like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, whenever? Please sound off in the comment section below. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Thanks so much for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button as well. And follow us on our social media pages, simply at The Super Review Show. But for all of your why you should listen to videos and many more, keep it locked on The Super Review Show. The J-Man, off to rock. Doobie doobie doo. See you guys later.